Welcome to the deep dive. So, you know how this works, right? You send us the sources you're curious about, and we deep dive into them.
Yeah, exactly. We pull out the most interesting stuff, all those little details and insights that you might miss otherwise.
It's like, your shortcut to being seriously in the know. Today, we're tackling something that I think has always fascinated people: unsolved disappearances. I mean, they're just inherently intriguing.
Absolutely. The sources you gave us come from the Hidden Truth True Crime Story YouTube channel, and we'll be focusing on three specific cases. Each one a real head-scratcher. Eileen Morris, Maura Murray, and then there's the enigma of Flight 19.
Yeah, like, what actually happens when someone just vanishes? It's terrifying, but also kind of impossible to look away from. These stories really give you a look into that. So let's jump right in. Eileen Morris. Where do we even begin?
Well, she disappeared back in 1991. She's 22, living in a pretty normal suburban town. Had plans to meet a friend at a cafe, but never showed up.
Just gone. And what really gets me is how ordinary it all seems. Like, in the source, they talk about the initial investigation, and it's like, nothing. Car was found near the cafe, unlocked, no signs of a struggle, no witnesses, nothing. Just poof.
And that's where, you realize how tough it was to crack these early cold cases. Think about it. No big DNA databases, no digital tracking, none of that stuff we have now. It's a huge disadvantage.
Totally. I mean, imagine the family. The source mentions they were out searching right away, and the police were, of course, doing what they could. Interviews, looking around, but no leads, nothing. And her family was so sure she wouldn't just run off.
Right. But back then, what could they really do? I mean, you think about it. No widespread security cameras, limited forensics. It's amazing how far we've come.
It is. And, there's that initial media frenzy, community rallies, all that. But then it goes quiet. And for the family, those unanswered questions: did she leave on her own? Was she taken? What else could have happened? Just awful. Awful. And with no new tech, it's like hitting a wall. That's what makes the case being reopened in 2018 so interesting.
It is, because suddenly forensics have come a long way. DNA analysis, digital footprints, all of that. And guess what? There was this overlooked piece of evidence. A partial fingerprint on her car. Never matched initially, but now it's a whole different ballgame.
Right. DNA tech in 2018 compared to 91. Night and day.
Yeah.
We can work with tiny samples. The databases are massive. And don't forget the power of the internet. The source talks about amateur sleuths, people coming forward with stuff they didn't even realize was important back then.
Yeah, it's amazing how a cold case can heat up like that. So with all this new stuff, what were the main theories that emerged?
Well, abduction was a big one. Makes sense, right? Car left behind, no struggle. Especially chilling is the possibility she knew whoever took her. And there's a detail in the source about her telling a friend she felt uneasy around certain people. That's something investigators would definitely be digging into. Ugh, creepy. It makes you think if those people were ever really checked out back then. The source also mentions running away, but they admit it doesn't fit with what they knew about her. But then again, people can hide stuff, even from those closest to them.
It's true. You never really know what's going on in someone's head. Maybe there was something deeper going on.
And then there's that other possibility, a serial offender. The source brings up other unsolved cases around that same time. Could be connected,
Exactly. Looking for patterns. Makes you wonder what else was happening back then.
So, bottom line, Eileen's case is still unsolved, but at least it hasn't been forgotten. No match on the fingerprint yet, and no suspect either. So frustrating.
Yeah, but the case is still open. Authorities are following up on leads, and with modern tech, they're re-examining old evidence. Plus, her family, they haven't given up. The source mentions a website they maintain, annual vigils. It's incredible.
That kind of dedication is really inspiring, isn't it? They believe the truth is out there. It gives you hope.
It does. And it's not just about Eileen. The source talks about how her case, it's actually helped raise awareness for other missing people, for the struggles families face, and how we investigate cold cases.
It's like, even though it's tragic, it's also pushing for change.
Yeah,
And with her case still in the public eye, who knows? Maybe one day we'll get answers. It proves that even cold cases can find new life.
exactly. Never give up hope. Speaking of unsolved mysteries, let's move on to another one. One with a very different set of circumstances. Maura Murray.
Ah, Maura Murray. Her disappearance is just baffling. February 9th, 2004, a 21-year-old nursing student. And the events leading up to it, they're just strange.
Yeah, the source really paints a picture of someone with a lot going on beneath the surface. Like on paper, she's got a good life, but there's this undercurrent of pressure.
Right. A minor car accident, rumors of relationship trouble, stress at school. I mean, that's relatable, but with Maura, it's like these things triggered some kind of, I don't know, a shift in her behavior leading up to February 9th.
Like withdrawing a ton of money, emailing professors about a family emergency that wasn't real, calling in sick to work. Not exactly typical, right? And then she tells people she's going to the White Mountains. But was she really? Or was that just a cover?
It makes you question everything, doesn't it? Like, what was she really thinking? Was it a planned escape? Was she in crisis? So many possibilities.
Definitely. It's almost impossible to know her real mindset. And then we get to the day itself. The emails, the packing, the money, the White Mountains story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's trying to be discreet, but also there's a sense of urgency. And then, bam, the car accident.
Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. In the middle of nowhere. Her car goes off the road, ends up in a snowbank.
And that's where things get really weird. A passerby stops to help, and she's like, no, I'm fine, even though she's clearly just been in an accident. Why refuse help? Was she hiding something?
And the passerby, they do the right thing and call the police. But by the time they get there, Maura's gone. The car's there, but no Maura. No witnesses saw her leave, no signs of a struggle. It's like she just disappeared into thin air.
It's crazy. And the abandoned car is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Did she take off on purpose after the crash? Or did something else happen? We just don't know.
And like with Eileen's case, the source talks about the initial investigation hitting a dead end. They search the woods, find nothing. The car, the strange circumstances, the lack of witnesses. It's just all so confusing. And then, of course, the media gets a hold of it.
Oh, yeah. Moore's case blew up in the media.
Yeah.
Sometimes that helps, but sometimes it just muddies the waters.
Totally. So let's get into those theories that start popping up. One is foul play. Maybe someone was waiting for her on that road. There was a report of a man seen nearby, but nothing concrete ever came of it. It's a scary thought.
Especially given how isolated that area was.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if she was meeting someone or if someone took advantage of the situation.
Then there's the theory of suicide. Given all the stress she was under, could she have gone into the woods to, the fact she took money and seemed to be planning something could fit with that.
It's a sad thought, but it's a possibility. The source does acknowledge that.
Then we have the staged disappearance theory. Maybe she planned this whole thing, took the money, ditched the car, and started a new life somewhere. But how do you disappear that completely? It's a real mystery.
It would take a lot of planning, resources, and probably some help to pull that off. You need a new identity, a way to avoid detection. It's hard to imagine, but not impossible.
And then there's the simplest, but maybe the most tragic explanation. She got lost in the woods after the accident. The White Mountains in February. That's no joke.
No, it's brutal. If she was disoriented, injured, or lost her way, the cold could easily have been fatal.
So many unanswered questions. Why didn't she call anyone after the crash? Why walk into the woods with no clear destination? And that calm demeanor the witnesses described. It's just odd. Did someone force her to go with them? Or was she running from something? And even the witness statements, they don't totally line up.
Right. It just adds to the confusion. Every little detail, it seems like it could be a clue, but then it just leads to more questions.
Exactly. And the interest in Maura's case, it's never gone away. The source mentions her family, friends, they haven't stopped searching, and the media coverage, the documentaries, podcasts like Missing Maura Murray, it all keeps her story alive. Though sometimes you do wonder if it gets a bit sensationalized.
Yeah, it's a fine line. But the dedication of those who truly want answers, it's remarkable. They sift through every detail, every theory, every piece of evidence, hoping to find something new.
And there have been some new developments over the years. More analysis of her car, suggesting that foul play might be back on the table. Then there's information that makes it seem like she might have been planning to leave on her own. Maybe a staged disappearance after all. And even DNA analysis and possible links to other cases in that area, though nothing definite yet.
It shows how these cold cases can evolve. New evidence, new technology, it all adds to the puzzle.
The source also mentions the rumors that some people might know more than they've let on. The idea that maybe she was running from something, like a bad relationship or a personal crisis. It all feeds into that staged disappearance theory, but without hard evidence, it's just speculation. And all those reported sightings over the years, none of them have ever been confirmed.
It's frustrating, right?
Yeah.
But it also shows how complex these cases can be. Memories are faulty, people might be afraid to talk. There could be all sorts of reasons why the full story isn't out there.
That's true. And the source leaves us with this thought. Could the key to Maura's disappearance lie in understanding what exactly she was going through in those days before February 9th? What was going on in her life that might have pushed her to do something so drastic?
It's a good question. To really understand what happened, we need to understand her motivations, her fears.
Absolutely. Okay, ready to move on to something a bit different. This one's a real classic. Flight 19. Just the name, it sends shivels down your spine.
Right. 5 Navy bombers just vanish without a trace. Over the Bermuda Triangle, no less. It's the kind of mystery that has captivated people for decades.
December 5th, 1945, 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers. They were on a routine training flight, but they never came back. And what's even more unsettling is that it wasn't just one plane, it was a whole squadron. Experienced pilots, good weather, and then nothing.
It's the scale of it that makes it so eerie. Like, how can an entire flight just disappear like that?
Right. And the mission was a standard training exercise. Bombing runs over the Gulf of Mexico, then back to base in Florida. It's not like they were flying into a hurricane or anything.
Exactly. Just a normal day as far as anyone knew.
But then things start to go wrong. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, radios in that his compass is malfunctioning. It's like that was the first domino to fall.
A compass malfunction.
Oh.
Over water. That's every pilot's nightmare, especially back then when they didn't have all the fancy navigational systems we have today.
You're telling me. And the source describes how the other pilots started getting disoriented too. Their radio communications get all garbled. Everyone's confused. It's just chaos.
It's like a chain reaction of errors. Once one thing goes wrong, it's easy to lose track of where you are, especially when you're flying in formation. And over water with few landmarks, it's even more difficult to reorient yourself.
And then they completely lose contact with the base. Can you imagine being back at the base, listening to those increasingly panicked messages, and then silence? Must have been terrifying.
Absolutely chilling. The sense of helplessness, the not knowing, it's unbearable.
Lieutenant Taylor, he's trying to lead the squadron back to Florida, but according to the source, they were way off course, out over the Atlantic, and their fuel is running out. The last messages they sent, it's clear they're lost, desperate, running out of options. It's just heartbreaking.
You can practically hear the fear and desperation in their voices. These are experienced pilots, and they're just completely lost.
Taylor thinks they're over the Florida Keys, but they're nowhere near them. They're in the middle of the Atlantic, fuel's almost gone, and then nothing. The transmission stopped, they just vanish.
And the search efforts, massive. The Navy sent out everything they had, planes, ships, you name it, but they found absolutely nothing. No wreckage, no oil slicks, no life rafts, no bodies. It's like they were just swallowed up by the ocean.
It's mind-boggling, and to make things even weirder, another plane, a PBM Mariner flying boat, is sent out to join the search, and it disappears too. They pick up a brief distress signal, then silence. Gone.
Right. It's like, whatever happened to Flight 19, it took another victim. It's no wonder people started talking about the Bermuda Triangle.
Of course, Flight 19 is like the poster child for Bermuda Triangle mysteries. All those theories about weird magnetic forces messing with their compasses, underwater caves, secret energy fields. It's all pretty far out there.
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle definitely captures the imagination. But most experts, they're not buying it. They say there's no real evidence to support those theories, and statistically, there's no more disappearances there than in any other busy part of the ocean.
Right. So what about the more, let's say, creative explanations? The source talks about conspiracy theories involving the government. Maybe Flight 19 accidentally flew into a top secret area or saw something they shouldn't have.
Yeah, the cover-up theory. It's a classic. Some people even claim they were shot down by some unknown enemy, but like the source says, there's no proof.
So what's left? Mechanical failure. It's the least exciting explanation, but maybe the most likely. Those TBM Avengers, they weren't exactly brand new, you know? And the source reminds us that they did have their share of issues.
Totally. And if you've got engine trouble or your instruments are going haywire, especially over water, things can go south really fast. The source even suggests that maybe because it was a training mission, the pilots weren't as prepared for a major crisis as they would have been on a combat mission.
That's an interesting point, but again, the lack of wreckage is tough to explain, right? If it was just a mechanical failure, wouldn't they have found something, even a small piece?
It is strange. You'd think so, right? And then there's the Mariner that vanished too. It makes it even harder to believe it was just coincidence.
So we're left with more questions than answers. Flight 19 remains one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in aviation history. It's fueled countless books, documentaries, movies, the whole 9 yards.
It's a cautionary tale, you know. It reminds us that even with experienced pilots and seemingly reliable technology, things can go wrong. And sometimes there's just no explanation.
And the search itself was a huge undertaking. The source says it was one of the largest air and sea rescue operations the Navy had ever conducted. But it was all for nothing.
It's a testament to how much effort they put into finding them, even though they knew the odds were stacked against them.
The source ends the section on Flight 19 with a question that really sticks with you. Given it was a routine flight, good weather, experienced pilots, what could have possibly happened to make them so disoriented that they just disappeared? Was it a series of small mistakes that snowballed, or something completely unknown and unexplainable?
It's a question that has haunted people for over 70 years, and there's still no good answer.
So there you have it, 3 unsolved mysteries, each one more perplexing than the last. Eileen Morris, Maura Murray, and Flight 19. 3 very different cases, but all sharing that same chilling element. People just vanishing.
Yeah, it really makes you think. 1 minute, someone's there, living their life, and the next, they're gone. And we may never know what happened.
It's a reminder that even in this age of technology and information, there are still things we can't explain, mysteries that may never be solved.
And those mysteries, they have a real impact. The families left behind, the communities, even those of us who just hear these stories. It makes us question what we think we know about the world.
Exactly. And hopefully, by diving deep into these cases, you've gained a new appreciation for the complexity of these mysteries and the enduring search for answers.
Definitely. And remember, it's not just about the facts. It's about the human stories behind them. What were these people going through? What secrets did they hold? What led them to that moment of disappearance?
So now it's your turn. What stands out to you about these cases? What questions are still swirling around in your head? We encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking questions. You never know. Maybe you'll stumble upon a clue that everyone else missed.
And here's something to ponder. In a world where we can track almost anything, where technology seems to have an answer for everything, how is it that people, even entire planes, can still just vanish? It's a thought that should keep us all a little bit humble, a little bit curious, and maybe even a little bit afraid.